me. Super happy to all be together. Okay, let's start today while people are rolling in still with things that we're grateful for. Anybody have anything that you are grateful for that you would like to share today?
Challenges.
Say that again.
I love me a good challenge.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, right. Stretch your
I
little
got
brain
plenty of them
muscles.
right now. Yep.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Anybody else thankful for anything? Oh, this is so sad. Well, I have about
I'm
12,000 things to say I'm thankful for.
I will say this. I'm grateful for not for what's happened, this last week, but for what the people it has brought together. Just being at dinner on Saturday night with five guys and a couple of the guys that I know have not been in church in forever, and we had some great conversations about the country and the different things, and it's brought up really, really cool conversations in a lot of different ways. So I'm really grateful for that.
Nice. Nice. I actually had the opportunity to travel with my sister this last weekend. Last Thursday, we left town and we met in Northern California, and then traveled up the coast and went to where we were raised, and just kind of did a little walk through memory lane. And leaving yesterday made us grateful on so many levels. Number one, grateful for our childhood, but also grateful that we didn't stay there. And sometimes I think when we look, and not just the location, but the mentality and the environment there, it's just so interesting. And you realize that, you are in a place at a specific time for a specific purpose. And then you go through those challenges that you're talking about, Steve. Like every day is a challenge in some ways, right? And going through these challenges, and they teach you, they expand you, they increase your horizons, they stretch your brain muscles, and they stretch the way you think. And so as you kind of mature and go through life, you realize, if you look back on your life, gosh, I was at this place at this time, and this is how I grew there, and this is how I grew here. And so this was just a really poignant reminder of, we were children here. We had a very idyllic childhood there, wonderful and amazing, but I don't know that we would have flourished as adults there. So I'm grateful for the movement in our life. And I probably have another 50 things I could say, but I'll leave it with that. I'm just super grateful that even though we go through really, really hard things, I know a couple years ago, my mantra was, I can do hard things. I was built for hard things. And I'll never have that mantra again, because I think that was the hardest year I ever had. So that was really dumb. But it's also one of the things that really pushed me and stretched me and gives me next level gratitude and next level expectation. I think my life's not over. I did an exercise a couple of weeks ago, because I try to have some things planned for the potential that somebody goes through something rough and can't teach when they've committed to teach on Lions and Legends. And I almost bumped Steve today, because I feel like this week we've seen some things. Our mortality has been pressed over the last couple of weeks with, gosh, all the crazy things that we've seen. And really, like, how do we spend our time? Like, how valuable is our time? And I did this exercise, and I'm going to challenge you guys to do it, even though I will teach a class on it in the near future. I would challenge you to look up life expectancy for your current age and your like how old you are now, your life expectancy is. Not that I want to depress you. I want to activate you. Is what I want to do with that. Look up and see like how much time you have left. Then start dividing that down by how many, not just years, but how many months, how many weeks, and how many days. And you will get a very clear picture of how important today is and how you spend your time today and what that really means and the impact that you could have and should be having. And so that you can live, maybe you have a lot of regrets in your life before today, but when you calculate that and you start looking at your life, making every day count and not living in a place of regret. And I did this exercise like 3 weeks ago. So I didn't know what we would be facing today and this past, week or so in our world. But I really think, mm, we, we matter. What we say matters. What we do matters, good, bad, or indifferent. And so I feel like um, who we're investing in and how we're loving and how we're showing up is probably more important in today's day than maybe any other time, because we're all sitting on the surface right now. And to your point, Steve, for guys that that you've been in a relationship with and now you can have some of these really deep conversations with, it is a massively spiritual thing, but it's a human thing, right? Like just connecting with humanity and learning to love humanity is so powerful. So I wasn't going to preach about that today, and I'm still not going to, but I'm just going to say, if you want to know about how important your life is and how important your time is, I challenge you to do a happy little exercise like that, because it will help you click in.
You can take that a step further using that same concept of who are the people that are most important to you in your life, how many times you see them a year,
Yep.
and put that into the equation. And that's how much time you're going to spend with them.
Right. Versus all the time you have left, right?
Right.
It's very important, right? And I mean, we could keep going, and this is what um I will share when I teach it. Well, some of this will be a little bit repetitive. I won't go as deep, but if you look at how much of that time, technically, you look at how much of that time is left in sleep, how much of that time is left in like personal care, right? Like things that are just about you, where you're not having an impact anywhere. You start to see this timeline like really shrink. So for me, it really reignites that ember of, okay, what you say, what you do, who you speak to, who you spend time with, how you treat people. Every minute of every day matters, right? To be effective that way. So that's my speech for today. We'll talk about it again at length, because I do want to push the envelope a little bit with you guys. I feel like you're the people who can handle that. So I like that. So let's go on to gratitudes. Who else? Anybody else?
I have one.
All right.
My daughter-in-law has been kind of negative about going to church and all that kind of stuff. She's very liberal and she doesn't like the things that are said in churches. Well, last Saturday we were all together and she asked me about going to church with us.
Wow.
So it's more of an answered prayer than gratitude, but I am very grateful for that.
Sure. It's good. Love it. All right. Anyone else want to share what you're grateful for? Any good things? Tell me something good, right? Like that song. All right, you're gonna get the 5-4. Oh, hit me, Ken.
Um, I don't know, as we were at church yesterday, and my daughter-in-law, she hasn't been able to really come and be in service because she's got our little granddaughter. So it was, I think, maybe the first time that she was in the nursery, but um, she didn't have a great, father figure in her life, and she just came up to me after the service and just gave me a big hug and just said, "Thank you for being my dad." And that was pretty special. But I'm not a great father myself, um, so I'm grateful for the opportunity to grow in that area, but just to have confirmation that she feels loved and special, even though she's only been our family for a couple of years. But that's just grateful for growth in that area, and grateful that um, she has that in her life, and that can be part of that. So it's pretty cool.
That's awesome. When my dad passed away, I remember that night and lying in bed with my husband, and we were just talking, and Kelly's biggest like heartbreak was, who's gonna pray for us now? Right? So we're the adults. we're the ones, like, we're the grown-ups now. We're covering our kids and their kids, and so I think, when she says that, you've had this impact on her, don't take that lightly, like that. And when you
Mm-hmm.
say you're not a great dad, I've just argued today's the day to change all that, right? Like, if that's your shortcoming, then where you spend your focus, that's what comes to life, right? And so I think, we're the adults now, we're the grown-ups, we're the ones who are leading the world and our families, and having the privilege of loving on them. So if you have relationships that are distant or separated or wounded, I would just encourage you to reconcile those. Give yourself peace, do what you need to do, and then you can move forward and forgive. Forgiveness is a really crazy thing, right? Forgiveness is not, in my opinion, not actually for the other person. It's the relationship we have with ourselves and what God gives us in forgiveness, right? That allows us to have freedom. And so if sometimes we talk about, like, I need to forgive myself, I think that's a weird concept, but here's what I would say. Let's get over it. Yesterday was yesterday, today's today, and tomorrow's tomorrow. And so we can't change yesterday. We can actively participate in today, and we can plan for tomorrow, and know how we're going to show up and behave. So I would just encourage all of us, honestly, right? Like, we can all do better at whatever it is. Our imperfections are brought to light in moments like this, where we're like, hey, you know what? I can be better at this. I should do more. So I will do more. And so I want to encourage you, just like, own the good stuff you have, acknowledge the junk that's in your life, and let's just see what we can do to process through it and work that stuff out, because you're only holding back the biggest impact you're intended to have if you just hang on to this stuff and let this stuff drag you down. And so I would just strongly encourage each one of us, really, hey, we can do better. We are better. We can be better. And so we just have to purposefully walk through life, making choices every day to be better. And that's all, honestly, that's all God requires of us, right? To walk humbly with him, grow, learn, listen, love, and let's just make good choices, right? So that's kind of where I feel like we're at. Good for you. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Let's go on to a couple of little announcements. First of all, if any of you personally, or anybody that has lock boxes for sale, one of our agents, Andrew Pruitt, excuse me, is in need of them. He's going to purchase a whole bunch this week, because he's picking up a ton of listings, which we like to hear that. But if you have lock boxes that you no longer need, I told him I would throw out the message. If you have them, reach out to me and I'll just give you his contact info and you guys can connect that way. You can sell him your lock boxes. And then the second thing that I was going to tell you, and Karen, if you don't mind, the links for the happy hour on the 24th. You're a rock star. You probably already did it and I don't even know. And then also there's the 23rd and 24th is gosh, it's something that Eric Hatch is putting together. I have it. I think Karen, you have it too. So I'll just have you throw those in. If you want to respond to those and RSVP for those. Wednesday night is a happy hour. A lot of our C-suite will be there. And then a lot of agents from across the nation will actually be there, coming to this event in Arizona on the Monday and Tuesday before that. So it is about building your business, but I'm drawing a blank, sorry, but we'll get it out there. She'll throw it in the chat and you'll have it all. So I want to encourage you to explore it, see if it's something that you want to attend. I think Eric Hatch's event is $199 for the 2 days. And then the happy hour is free, to my knowledge. And then if you're a team that does over 100 million in production, there's a mastermind for you on Thursday, I think. So if any of that applies to any of you, I would love to see your little faces there. I will be there on Wednesday all day, and then Wednesday night for the happy hour, so I can see your sweet faces. That's the 24th. I think those are my only announcements for anything. I think Ty's not on today. Ty Lux, they either have had it or will have the golf tournament fundraiser. So reach out to Ty if you have an interest in that. I might have missed it. It might have been last week, but do you know when it is, Steve?
I have no idea.
Okay. Yeah. I don't recall the exact date either, but okay. we are going to move on because I don't want to take any more time, because the reason I didn't cancel Steve is because I am excited for what he's teaching today. And I want to make sure that people get as much that he gets as much time out of this, that we can just tap into all of it. So Steve, I'm just going to pass it to you. Thank you so much for your partnership and for teaching us all great things. Go for it.
Always. I always love it when Kim calls and reminds me, hey, you're teaching in the morning. I'm like, cool, where are we going tomorrow? I always have plenty of words to say, but one of the things that I'm in the middle of that I want to share with you guys, and I've done this a couple of times, in about 3 weeks, everybody's going to get bombarded with end of year plans and goals and transactions and the same bullshit that we do every year, that I'm going to say 90% of our industry doesn't quite hit the targets that they're all excited about in October because they really weren't committed to them. Would everybody kind of agree with that? At least in some of those classes that I've seen, right? Um, there's a great book that I pretty much run my life off of. At the end of the day, it's not perfect, but we're always self-aware, and how do we keep making it better, is Vivid Vision. And Cameron Herold wrote this book. And I would say that many of you, due to this market, or some of you, depending on where you're at, could be personally, professionally. Mine was more personal. When I went into rehab, which by the way is goosebumps, coming up on 2 years in 2 weeks that I walked into rehab. Several of you in this room, or all of you, have something going on that isn't rehab. It's personal, it's financial, it's all the things that you're probably not talking to a lot of people about, that you're hiding inside and isolating about. I know I can say that I was doing it. This book changed everything from where I went after rehab. It was about 4 months after rehab when I read this book. And why it spoke so much to me is that I'd been doing this for, 25 years when that happened. And I had become unclear as to who I was, what my identity was in this business, who I stood for, who Steve Valentine was. And I think after a while, we tend to lose our identities to this business. And here's why. Because we're taught to go be something else for somebody else to get business. Or we're taught to change our identities for trending things on Instagram or Facebook. Or we're taught that in order to have more trophies and transactions at the end of the year, you need to do these things. I'm going to call bullshit. And here's why. I believe that we've all been conditioned in one way to do the business, and we all kind of look around and do it a little bit different than everybody else, and it's our way. But the reality is, it still isn't completely our vision and our identity. And one of the things I share this with you is because what I learned is that the success of your business relies on the the success of your personal foundation, and they run simultaneously. And what happens is we start to, in this market, and I know because I saw it with my dad, I saw it with myself, when things get hard, all the good things that we were doing start to go out the door. When the sales are less, the other things that are happening, we feel we have to work more. And the reality is we should be working harder on ourselves than it is on the business, because once that comes to play, it changes where you're going because you know who you are. And I would encourage you guys, you're thinking about this. Every year we do this. It's meant to be a 3-year vision. Here's what I got out of it. Cameron Herold took 3 years and took 1-800-GOT-JUNK to triple where it started. And it was due to the vision, and the way he planned vision was where he wanted to go himself. So he started to look at CEOs that were running X amount of dollar companies and looking at their habits and who they are and what they're doing, and saying, how do I get to be that person while I'm running the company in that nature? So if we took our identities away from real estate and we started to peg some things that are actually the important things of our vision, which is how are we building a personal life around a business that doesn't run our lives, so that we can have a greater peace, a greater freedom. And for me, the last couple of years has changed my perspective, not necessarily on money or wealth or what I'm building, but what the purpose is. And see, before I was so caught up in the transactions and the money and the personal things that I missed the things that I truly wanted, which were experiences and really kick-ass relationships that aren't built on sales. And the vivid vision is talking about who you want to become and where you want to go with your business. And you make it very vivid in those pieces. And we don't go out beyond 3 years. Anybody done the, out to 10 years, like 10 years ago? And where are you at comparison to what that goal looked like 10 years ago? It's a little different. So what I realize is that I believe, I know I have, so I'll ask a question. You guys put your hands up. Have y'all changed in the last 3 years? Have you all grown? Have you matured? Okay. Has any of the language in your business changed in the last 3 years based on who you've become? Are those things coming out? Are they changing? Because if they're not, you see a lot of these agents that are still back here 5 years ago doing the same things that they were doing, wonder why it's not producing results. It's because them as a person has changed. I mean, glamour shots are a perfect example of how much real estate agents have changed over 20 years when they still use those pictures, right? um, where do you guys believe your biggest challenge is in creating your vision for next year? Not your business plan, your vision. What are your greatest challenges?
I'm trying to narrow down how many things I can knock out. My it's big, but I want to be realistic. So I'm like, okay, what can I really do in excellence that I'm the
Okay.
most passionate about? And can those other things, do they fit in those categories? And maybe they're a byproduct of some of the bigger thoughts. I'm trying to filter through some of that.
Okay. I want to address that for a second. I think that when we create a vision, it's a big plate of food, and we can't eat it all at once. So you start to look at that vision and go, okay, well, this is the vision. Then we start breaking it down. I like to break things down. If you guys haven't read the book, The 12-Week Year by Brian Moran, great book about how to operate a year in 12 months. You
Yeah.
set that up. When you're done with that, you keep moving. The reason he talks about in that book is that so many of us wait till the end of the year to hit our goals rather than are we really pressuring ourselves in that 12 weeks to hit those. And it's not great big goals in those 12 weeks. It's in order to keep the needle moving. Sorry, I'm having a hard time talking this morning.
You don't have enough water in your system.
Apparently. But the challenge is to find focus so that you can create the bigger vision. And we go into the year with, we want to do 100 transactions and we put all this stuff out. And then the work comes down is how are we actually going to do that and live to that? And it becomes overwhelming and anxiety to actually accomplish it because it's too big. But we
Right.
want to have the great, big, hairy, audacious goal. That's what he talks about there. But then we want to break that down. And how do we accomplish that in 3 years? So I'll give you an example. As scared to death and anxiety as I'm having right now, for the last 8 weeks, as long as I've been doing this, I've never done it. But we drew a line in the sand last week and we shut everything down. All of our marketing, all of our branding, everything has been cut down. We've hired a new creative director because the vision is much greater than what it is. And everything has to change in order to accomplish it. But the vision sometimes has to be met with a lot of uninformed or informed excitement. So over the next couple of months, as you start to go through this and you start to think about next year, I would encourage you to go, hey, if I want to be here in 3 years. So one of my goals here is debt free. Now, debt free is a lot for me because the amount of stuff that we own and we're moving a lot of things. And I share this very personally with you guys because I think we're in a market that's changing. We're in an industry that's changing. And I think we need to really look around and see what's truly possible in our visions and stop playing so small in the sales world and start looking, as what Kim said, how do we improve our relationships to create a greater income? And that's what this new business model that I'm working on is focused on. It's based on relationship and exclusivity, not so much mass quantity. Here's the point. The vision is to create the life that I want, and I want to have better experiences with my family. I want to have better experiences in my business and with my agents that I'm in community with. And that vision had to be torn all the way down and then start from very scratch to figure out what it looks like. Now, all your reputations are intact. The question is, if you could start something new and you could create a new vision, what would it look like? How would you build your real estate business for the next 3 years? Based on what you know, based on what you've learned, based on all the different options, and based on where you want to go in the next 3 years. Are there parts of this business you hate and don't want to do anymore? Then stop doing them. That's the interesting part about this business is we feel like we have to do these things. And one of the things in my vision, which is really important, does everybody actually interview their clients before they take them on? Like, when you go to a listing appointment or buyer's appointment, are you there to interview whether or not you want to do business with this person? That's a new thing for me. It's something that's very profound when we go into an appointment and go, I want to build my business off of peace and joy. What if that was the same for you when you go into an appointment? You're like, hey, I don't think this is good energy for me. I'm gonna say peace out. Hey, it was great meeting you. We're probably not a good fit. Let me refer you to somebody else, whatever that feels like. But not having obligation over money to take on everybody person that walks in the door. Because I don't know about you guys, I've taken enough of those to be obligated that I never want to do it again, and I would rather make less money than to go through that BS with people. It's a new vision, and I'm giving you guys permission to say, hey, what if at the end of 25 you're like, hey, I like some of the stuff that I've done, but I want to do something greater. Or you're at a different stage in your life, maybe you want to slow down. Maybe start to think about how do I refer more business out for a different income source than to do more business. So permission in this is to look at a vision of who you want to become, number one. So for me, I'll give you an example. I still have some journey to do on my health and the self-awareness of who I want to become as a leader and a speaker. And those are things that I'm very focused on right now. I'm also very focused on where this company goes through relationships and teaching people how to invest from day one all the way through their end of the life, because I want to journey with clients. I don't want to do transactions with clients anymore. And so the vision is transactionally, if you want to be transactional, let's do more transactions. How do you break that down? But more importantly, can you do less transactions and earn more income by changing your structure? See, if we do 100 transactions or 50 transactions at 2.5, can we do 30 at 3? Can we do 25 at 3.5?
Well, and Steve, I'm processing all of this because one of the first things you said is like, how would you rebuild this business, or how would you create something new? Are there things that you hate, that you don't want to do? There's things that you really like and you're really good at. And I think that I mean, I'll just use my own experience. I learned how to do real estate from other real estate agents who learned how to do it from other real estate agents who learned how to do it from other real estate agents who learned how to do it from other real estate agents. And so I think if you kind of follow that back, it's like, I think there's a few generations of us as realtors who haven't even gauged our own creativity and our own thinking about how to do something. We're like, oh, this is the job description, and then these are the SOPs, right? And so if I take the job description, because I'm new and I don't know anything, so I take the job description, I go, oh, there's all these things I need to master. And then I have an SOP, or a standard operating procedure, right, for each one. Then I have to do, I accomplish these things by walking out these things. And where is there room for creativity to say, but I hate most of these things and I don't want to do them this way, right? Because we're afraid that if we don't do it like what's presented in the box, that there's no way it will work, because generations of successful real estate agents have done it this way. And they're passing all their knowledge to us to do it this way. And so I was new to real estate. I was new to Arizona. I didn't know anything about Arizona. I didn't know any neighborhood except the neighborhood I lived in, right? Like, and even then I didn't know it, right? It took a long time. I went through the motions of doing things like all of the people who went before me told me how to do them. And some of them worked for me because it resonated with me. I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And some of them didn't, but I did them anyway. But I'll tell you, I've never done a single real estate transaction in my entire career without a transaction coordinator. Because I knew right away, I do not want to do all that junk. Am I good at it? Yeah, if I can get myself to sit down and do it, I'm great at it. But I don't want to sit down and do it. I get distracted. I'm just all over the map. Nothing's going to happen. So I've never done a transaction without a TC. I've always interviewed my clients because I came from corporate America and I hired and fired people all the time. So if I'm going to work with them and I'm going to ask them to sign an employment agreement, I'm going to interview them. So I did a lot of things that were weird, but there's so much of stuff that was handed to me about how to do it that I just fell right in line, because I was like, well, I don't know any better. And it's fun to look at this and say, hey, what do I want my real estate life to look like in this next year, the next year, and the third year? Like, what's the end result of my target of what I'm trying to get to? I think, you guys, it's there's freedom in just kicking out the teeth of things and knocking down the walls of the boxes to go, okay, if I can't do it and be satisfied and find that gratification and the joy in doing it, then I need to get rid of the things that don't do that. If that means that I am taking either a higher or lower percentage, or I'm paying out some monies to do that and still managing my revenue, right? You don't have to do everything from being the janitor to being the CEO. And I think this industry preaches that so consistently, that if you're going to be a solo agent, you got to do everything. If you're going to be on a team, well, then you're sacrificing everything. You don't get your own identity. We have all these weird labels and assumptions that go with them. And I think it's just so damaging for us to think that we have to stay stuck in that we can do something a different way.
Yeah, that's really, really good, Kim. So let me see if I can break this down simply. I'd highly encourage you guys to get the book. Kim, I can send you the workbook that we did on it at our retreat last year, to send out. It just kind of
Okay.
goes through a list of questions. Couple of different, there's three ways to break this down as you're writing. It's, the first one is your personal vision. Wherever you want to see your personal life go, whether those are experiences, vacations, time off, amount of hours worked, it's not only writing that down, but it's visualizing those things. And we want to make it so it's almost unrealistic. Like, we can't fathom being able to take a month off right now, right? It's just hard to think about. Some people can, I cannot, right? Too many things going on. But when I think about it in three years, what do I have to do in order to make that happen? Who needs to be around me? What does my income need to look like? How do I get to that point? And that's how we're going to reverse engineer it, because maybe this year, if you combine this with Atomic Habits, this year's like, hey, well, this year in year one, I need to take 1 week off, no phone, that is my goal and part of my vision this year. So next year's 2 weeks. The following years is 4 weeks, because that means that we should be moving in the needle in that direction, but we also can't wait. How many of us wait? Like, when I get there, I'm going to take a month off when I have enough money in the bank. Yeah. How many times did my dad say that? He took time off forever, unfortunately. And, back to what Kim said earlier, and I think Richie talked about it too. I sat in front of my dad's placard last week on the 10-year anniversary going, if I follow my dad's footsteps, I got 18 years. That's it. I got 18 summers after this one. So when you start thinking about vivid vision, that's 6 breakdowns. That's 6 cycles. And my dad died when he was 65. There's no guarantee to where our life is, but I do know this. My dad worked his ass off until he died, but he died with nothing. And part of that was because of the lack of wisdom he had around him, like being on these calls. Like I commend all of you guys for being here every week and just latching onto this wisdom and the different speakers and the different things, because it is so important. There might be one little nugget on a Monday that changes everything. I can't tell you how many nuggets I've had from this. The second part of the vivid vision is your business. One of the things I'm going to encourage all of you guys to do, because it's something that, condition wise, it's transactions and trophies. When it comes down to most of the time in this business, it's, what are the trophies? Who's got all the transactions, and how much money are we making? Interesting part about Real, which is one of the main reasons I'm here, is looking at the financial stability that it can give us as agents. Something that my dad didn't have, something I'm very grateful that Kim introduced me to this, and I'm here with all of you guys, is that we don't look at things in units. Any of those business plans that come out for realtors, it starts with transaction count. And it shouldn't be that way. Can we start with income? So in your business, if $200,000 is your goal, it's $45,000 units. And why do I say that? Because I think that in our businesses, we do miss a lot of ability to, like what Kim said, we don't have to be the specialist in everything. We miss a lot of opportunities to connect the dots and referral fees, in $5,000 increments, with depending on what we do. I also say that because one of the pillars that I have in my business is, hey, can you find an off-market deal and make $5,000? Can you connect the dots? And it doesn't always have to be a flip. It could be a consumer. It could be an owner occupant buying that. It could be any of those things. It's easy money at the beginning. And I only say that because sometimes we get into the transactions and then we start putting percentages in it. And we're like, okay, well, we need to do this to do this. And we don't simplify it. What I mean by simplify it is that money doesn't have to be tied to transactions. Does everybody agree with that or understand that?
Yep.
It does not have to be tied to transactions, but that typically is where our income is tied to. It's little examples that I'll give you guys. Increasing income per transaction of, hey, this year self-awareness, it's taking us a lot of time to do solar transfers for clients. So we have a solar dock fee now in our listings because of all the chaos in it. It'll probably, now, this is where people get it wrong. Like, it's making me more income this year. No, I needed to buy the time, because last time I checked, when we sign up for a listing, it doesn't include doing all this solar, landscape, HVAC, saltwater system lease transfers. So it's a way to, what is your time being paid for? What's it being utilized for? So in your business, it's looking at the income result. And I would also say in the income of, hey, this is where my income, I want it to be. But how many of you have passive income goals? Nobody? Well, at least the 3 people are on video, right? I think that is one of the biggest misconceptions in our business, is trying to figure out over time, how do we get these dripping faucets to fill a bucket in that vision? Well, where does that come from? When I said the 40 units at $5,000, by the way, that gets you to elite, and it gets you to the stock. And I think a lot of us are missing the fact that those units equal stock, and those unit equal wealth down the road, and they equal retirement. The agent attraction thing is great, but we have to have productive agents to create passive income from them, right? So it's one of those goals. But where else can we create passive income inside real estate?
Agent
There's rent,
networking, referrals, all that.
agent networking, referrals, all part of our business, and connections and relationships like Kim talked about. Um, if we were the nucleus or the center for clients and agents, whatever that relationship is, do you think there's a lot of connections that can be pushed out that create income, that create referrals all over the country, that create connections? It's pretty fascinating to watch that web weave when you start to think about. Most of us get up in the morning. I would ask you to put this in your vision: is, are you creating more relationships with agents, or as many relationships with agents as you are consumers? Most people would not think that's a great philosophy, but here's why it is. You know, Richie was up in Prescott. Richie had a great referral business, right? Lots of things coming in and out because of relationships. Now he's in Dallas. He could do the same thing, right? Create a lot of relationships out here for a lot of incoming business there. But there's also the pieces of, do you know how many clients call because they want to know where to get hard money? They want to know how to invest. So where are you building your businesses to be the value provider in those spaces? Part of the vision, part of where we're going, because the real estate business, the opportunity is not just to sell, it's to build wealth through it. And not only build wealth for yourself, but then build wealth for your clients. That's where Kim and I's road leads back over a decade ago was, you know, I didn't want to do this anymore. I was out. Ask Kim, two big middle fingers. I hate this business. I hate everything it stands for. I hate the history of it. And it was talking through, it was because I was doing things that I didn't necessarily want to do, but we got to the point of wealth builder, which changed my perspective on what I wanted to do and how I would talk. And so on that, it's kind of like looking at your business and going, hey, who do I want to be known for? Is it just the realtor? Or who do you want to be known as Richie or Jeff or Ken? Who do you want to be known for as a person? And my opinion over the last couple of years, I've spent way too much of my career trying to build my identity as the realtor rather than as a person. And what's happened through the different communities, it's made a massive difference when I changed from doing a lot of marketing to doing a lot of involvement with things. I don't know how many of you guys saw my crazy pickleball tournament up in Munns Park. But we did glow in the dark pickleball for 120 60-year-olds. It was pretty dope. It was a community event. Didn't have to do business, but we were thanked very well through the community, you know, in Facebook that day. And there are different things that I get to go have fun being me. And I would encourage you guys in your vision to find the ways to authentically be you, because that's where the business will be attracted by people getting to know you through who you are, not what you do.
But you have
And
never fit in the box of what a realtor should look like. You've always, you obeyed and you went through the motions, but you were never finding any kind of satisfaction. You were never happy in that particular role. The difference is real estate is what we do. It's not who we are. And you're turning that philosophy, which has been, you know, permeated our thinking and our processing of, if you're a realtor 24/7. You have to always be on. You have to answer your phone. You have to be like, there's this high level of pressure that says, you know, your identity, since you got this little magic license and passed a crazy little wacky test, now suddenly you don't have a personality anymore. You have to do these things these ways. And I think if you can differentiate who I am and what I do. So I want to use your pickleball thing. I'm glad you brought it up because I was going to bring it up. That's something that you do. It's something that you love. You jumped in, you learned how to play, you've gotten passionate about it, you've built friends and relationships about it, but you don't wear Valentine real estate gear every time you play. You're not standing at the courts handing out cards. You're just doing life with these people, building a relationship with these people. And oh, by the way, I do real estate. And most of the time, I would say now you're established enough in that community that you don't even have to tell anybody you do real estate. People come up to you and say, hey, I hear you do real estate. All
Yep.
because you got to be exactly who you are. You're not trying to fit a square hole, wait, a square
Square
peg
peg,
in a
round hole.
round hole, right? You know, like that. I hate that. It messes with my head, that visual. But that you're not trying to do that anymore. You're not struggling. You don't have to strive. You have different challenges, right? That doesn't mean it becomes easy and carefree. It just means the focus is different. I think you're doing a really good job leading the way of demonstrating that, hey, find something that you really love about who you are, not with that thought of, oh, it will build my business. How about you just relax, build your business how you want to build your business, and live your life the way you want to live your life. And weirdly, the river combines, right? The tributaries come into the river and it all starts to flow together. I think you've done a really, really good job of proving that, honestly. If you look at your cars and the things you've done with your cars, things you've done with your boys with your cars, your fascination with them and your love of that has drawn a whole nother, that's authentic. That's not a sales ploy. It's not a gimmick. It's a, hey, I dig this. I'm going to spend time doing this. And weirdly, real estate comes up. Right. So I think we are so burnt out in this industry because everybody gets in it thinking it's going to be easy money. So now our population is polluted with a bunch of people who don't actually know what to do. So those of us who are passionate about it want to right the wrongs of all the other agents that we're in cross sales with. So most of the time we're doing 2 transactions, receiving 1 commission because we're training the other agent, right? We have all of these heavy burdens because we really care about it. It's true. We can really care about it, but we don't have to lose our identity in it. I think there's something to be said for, gosh, enjoy pickleball, enjoy your cars, enjoy skiing, enjoy boating, enjoy like whatever, hiking. I don't care what your thing is. You can build community around that and find satisfaction. And oh, by the way, probably build your business.
Yeah, I mean, it's been since I let that part of my ego and arrogance go and not all the branding stuff and all the different things, and we all have it, right? I used to be real big into that's all my closet. And then I was like, what if I just want to be me?
Yeah.
And it started to show up that way. And what's crazy is, the sobriety community, as hard as that was for me to go into rehab 2 years ago, I have quadrupled my investment. I mean, monetarily, but life is like there's no return on life from that. But it's really cool because I've seen some agents have been attracted due to my journey because they were on the same path to nowhere. And I've had several of the guys that I'm still on my alumni call with that are reaching out, going, "Hey, I know you do real estate in Phoenix. I'd like to get together with you." But I don't say anything about it. I just leave it. Same thing with pickleball. I've hit more people that I've done business with in pickleball, right? Leave them a tattoo. They're all yours. Um, Guys, I say that on the vision of I was taught so early on that I had to be on and be a realtor 24/7.
Yep.
That was my dad's theory. Like show on Christmas Day, do whatever, answer your phone. And I just have 2 middle fingers to that as life goes because I don't always want to be the realtor. You know why? You know what's even more fun? Is referring when somebody's like, "Oh, you do real estate." I'm like, "No, I'm retired, but I can refer you to somebody. They'd be great for you." Right? Let me connect you. Take a referral fee for that.
All day
The
long.
vision, right. I don't want to get off track. And guys, I'm sorry this wasn't as pitted as I normally am on this. There's a lot to go through on it. I will send out that piece. I highly encourage you to get the book. Um, the third part, I believe most important in the vision for me is the impact my business and my community is going to make on the future. And that's one of the things I put on there is, not so much the charity things, but I want to have time to give back to more and do more with things. And that's where you start to build up and figure out your vision is where do I need to buy more time to get to these places, right? I want more time to play pickleball. So who do I need to hire? I want more time to do this. And it's not always about building a bigger team. I don't know where all you guys are with your teams and what you're trying to accomplish, but sometimes it's just having a referral partner when you're overloaded in your vision. Hey, where's my resource? If you're a solo agent, where's my resource that I can refer with somebody or partner with somebody? And it's not a partnership. It's just, hey, I want to have some backup when this happens. Last part of this is to write it out very vividly. And if you want to go one step further, you go through and like on Indeed and you get an artist to actually bring it to life to see where you're going. I will tell you, the first time I did this was a year ago. I never brought it to life. But in the last year of clarity of being aware of vivid vision, we've talked about it, talked about it, talked about it. And I will leave you that the biggest point to this book that is language in our office is negative clarity. There couldn't be anything more important than negative clarity in your lives. And that's being able to say, I don't want this in my life anymore and not doing it. Right. So if I'm not going to show buyers any more homes, that's negative clarity. If I'm not going to have buyer's agents, that's negative clarity. If I want to have a certain person that's negative clarity, I'm just not going to tolerate bullshit anymore. That's actually what negative clarity is. And it's really good to get in that place because you start writing a list of all the things you do in the business on a day to day. And then you take that list and you go, okay, what are the things I do not want to do anymore? And I will not do anymore. How do you take them off the list? Do they need to be hired out? Are they just time sucks that you shouldn't be doing? Negative clarity is really good because it'll give you clarity and focus on where you want to go once those things are out of the picture. So the last year has been a lot of negative clarity, and I'll go through this with you. There's some of you on this call. You know, a year ago I started the garage community. It was great. We did it for 1 year, and I'm like, all right, we're going to take a break because I had negative clarity after a year of what I would tolerate and what I wouldn't, and how we're going to rebuild it. And there were some people that had to go away, and there were some things that had to be moved around, but obligation creates resentment. And even though I had 40 or 50 people showing up every Friday, it started to take a toll on me. And I had to stop and go, I have some negative clarity. This is too much. I love you guys, and we're going to do something different. But sometimes, same thing with our clients, we stay in too long or we stay in a place too long that we should be getting out of, but we're not willing to cut it loose and have that negative clarity. Because for me, that was going to go bad for me. I know in the self-awareness, not that I was going to go down the bottle road, but just the obligation and the things you're like, this doesn't feel good. So I need to change something. And self-awareness is really, really big in this vision of where you're going because it's not always going to work out. But it does give you the ability to pivot. And that's what I loved about the 3-year vivid vision working alongside with Atomic Habits and the 12-week year is if all of us remember back to COVID, all these big teams and big businesses that had year-long plans that were 3 months into it in 2020, they were shutting stuff down. They couldn't pivot fast enough because they had put so much into motion that they had to backtrack. And even though if they had stayed the course on their vision, it would have been just fine. But they were right. So it gives us the ability to pivot, good or bad. Some people stayed in, some people stayed out. It still gives you the ability to pivot.
It's good.
Well, I'll kind of leave that open for you guys for any questions, answers, things, comments. There you go,
Way to
Angie.
go, Angie.
And by the way, I have to tell you something about the author. He is super cool from the standpoint that
Good book.
I read it. I started giving it out in my sober living house when I was there and giving it out to agents and really making it part of my life. And I reached out to the author and I said, hey, I want to do these for the sobriety community. Would you co-author one with me? And he texted me back. He's like, I'm too busy to co-author, but you have my permission. I'll have my assistant send you some writing. And he sent me his 18 months, 3 days, 24 seconds sober. And it was just, he's cool. So he sent me a box of books for some of the sober living houses and things. Just really good author.
Awesome. Good for you. Any questions or thoughts that anybody wants to share before we sign off? We got a few more minutes.
What's the name of that book again?
Vivid Vision.
Looks like this. Richie got it in digital form. I need to write. I have to see it and write all over it, so it's all marked up for me.
He's a good listen to as well.
It is a good listen. I think I actually I do that all the time. I buy a book on audio and listen to it, and then I read it and listen to it, and it helps permeate my thoughts.
Yep.
Good.
Well,
book.
any takeaways?
It was good stuff.
Thanks, Richie. Appreciate that.
I wrote 2 pages of notes, Steve. And one of them, oh, I wrote it down. Let me go back and find it. Well, you said a few things. Success of your business is based on the success of your personal foundation. I think that's ridiculously true. And that's what you started with, and what you ended with was obligation can create resentment. And I have been in that situation more times in my life than not. I finally think I learned that lesson a few years back. And that's probably given me the most freedom. I used to have a mantra, and I say it occasionally now just because I can, doesn't mean I should. And that's helped me learn how to eliminate, how to say no to people, for one thing, but also how to say no to stuff that's in my schedule in my life. Just because I can do it doesn't mean I should do it. If it's not going to bring me joy, or I don't feel like I can sustain it, won't have long-term sustainability, I'm not interested. And it's very powerful. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. And when you start owning that and changing the neural pathways in your little happy brain, it becomes natural and not uncomfortable or awkward to say just because I can doesn't mean I should. So I appreciate the reminder.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Anybody else?
All right.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go.
I just want to share one thing. I've been for the last 6, 7 years just working on myself, not my business, in terms of adding things to what I do in the business or anything like that. I'm not reading business books, so to speak. I've just been focusing on improving myself, and it shows up in your business.
Nice. Congratulations.
100%.
It's good.
100%. All right. I'm peace out.
All right, guys.
Bye,
Happy
guys.
Monday. See your lovely faces next week. Have a great week.